Welcome to Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon. I'm your host, Captain Matt. And today we're talking about inboard outboards versus outboards, stern drives, IOs, whatever you want to call them, versus outboards. The outboards, the whole engine is outside of the boat. It's attached to the transom in some form or fashion. A stern drive or an inboard outboard or an IO, they're all synonymous. Part of the engine in the boat, and you've got the lower unit out of the boat, and there's a hole cut through the transom to attach from the engine, the power source, to the propeller, the propulsion source. So that's an inboard outboard. And an outboard, your outboards, Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, Honda, Tohatsu, Evinrude in the past. Your stern drives, mainly Mercury and Volvo. You had Yamaha, you had OMC, you had some others in the past. Why would you want one over the other? Well, the stern drive, it allows a full swim platform. Because you've got that lower unit under the water, you can have the full swim platform all the way across. A cleaner look, in my opinion. It's the type of boat I grew up on. Also, they're best used in fresh water unless they're a closed, cooled system and you're trailering it or you're putting it in dry storage. On the outboards, well, the advantages to the outboards, there's no blower required. You don't have that combustion engine in a small compartment where you have to blow the fumes out with risk of explosion. Now, I boated for 40 years or more on a stern drive, have never, ever had an issue. Freshwater or saltwater use are okay, and you can fully tilt an outboard out of the water. Because it's attached to the transom, they can typically adjust that motor all the way out. If for whatever reason your engine won't tilt all the way out of the water, there's an adjustment that they can make in the trim limiter that you can adjust that to make it tilt up. The reason they have that there is if the transom wasn't designed for that particular motor, it may hit something, so they'll have that trim limiter to avoid you damaging your boat or the cowling of your motor. The outboard offers more interior storage because you don't have that big engine inside the boat. Everything is outside the boat, so you've got more interior storage space typically. The newer outboards, the newer four-strokes, tend to be more fuel efficient, very quiet and less vibration since, let's say, 2010 or so. As the four-stroke technology has gotten better, the noise level and the vibration has gotten practically zero in the last 10, 15 years. It's a simple winterization process. You really just have to tilt that motor up and down a couple of times and get all of the water out, and you avoid the freeze damage. Now, there's still other steps that you should take. The maintenance, it's easier, it's cheaper typically. Now, again, it depends on exactly what you're doing, but I'm talking just the basic maintenance, impeller changes, oil changes, gear lube changes, all very, very simple. They're lighter weight, and they're typically quicker to plane because of that weight situation. The stern drives, they're heavier, but the weight is further forward in the boat because it's actually in the boat and it's down low. So some will say it rides smoother in choppy water. Now, I don't know that you'd be able to tell it unless you went situation to situation. It does produce a better wake for wakeboarding. Because you're heavier, because you've got that weight in the boat, it's going to displace more water, which is going to give you a slightly bigger wake and a better shape to it. And they're also, the stern drive, they're difficult to steal. Whereas an outboard, there's story after story of motors being stolen off the back of boats. They unbolt them, they load them up in their truck, and they head out. The stern drive, if you're a freshwater boater and you love the swim platform, that's me. So even though stern drives have just tanked in market share because of the advantages of outboard, there's still, to me, a freshwater boater that likes to hang out the swim platform because you have that whole platform. You don't have that big outboard kind of taking up some space and being an obstruction. The stern drive wins there. You enjoy some wakeboarding. Now, I say some because if you're a serious wakeboarder, you probably want to go to an inboard style boat or a V-drive. If you're buying a small to mid-size cruiser, let's say something under 30, 40 feet before you have moved to inboards, the stern drive could be a good option for you there. And if you're buying a used bow rider or deck boat or cruiser that's older than, say, 2015 or so, you're going to go with the stern drive, and mainly because that's what was produced in those years. They just didn't make many outboard bow riders, deck boats, and virtually no small cruisers or mid-sized cruisers with an outboard. Now, for an outboard boater, you're in saltwater. Outboard makes the most sense in my mind of the two. You're leaving the boat in the water for extended periods of time. Because you can tilt that motor all the way up out of the water, you're going to have less maintenance. You don't have as much to worry about with the boat sinking with the bellows and the hole through your boat to get that power out to the lower unit. You want the quietest possible boat. If you're fishing, because now I can see that outboard, I can tilt it all the way up if I get a line caught around things. If you're water skiing or barefooting, because it's quicker out of the hole. Also because it's lighter, it's going to give you a smaller wake, which is better for slalom skiing and for barefooting as well. Although I learned to barefoot behind a stern drive, or if you're doing a pontoon, a tri-tune, a center console, or a dual console, the outboard is going to be the preferred power for those two as well. Now, the big question is money. If you're going used, if you're past 2015 and older, you're probably going to have to go stern drive. On a new boat, they're about equal. You know, if you look, one manufacturer, it may be the stern drive may be $1,500 more. Some manufacturers, the outboard may be $1,500 more, but they're very close. It kind of depends on the style of boat, how they got the power set up, and also what power are they putting on it. Depending on the horsepower you put, it may close that gap, but it's really going to be boat to boat. I think you're better off looking at the application because there's not a significant price difference between the two when you're ordering a boat. If you want more detail on propulsion systems, watch the video Jet Boat Stern Drives, Outboards, and Inboards, where I talk over all 4 of the propulsion options, and you can find that in the First Time Boat Buyer watch list that's just packed with great information that every first-time boat buyer should watch. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up if you would, please. It lets YouTube know that this was good content. Subscribe to the channel. Grab that Boat Buyer's Toolkit at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. That's a free gift to you. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.